What in tarnations is Kenny Boy gonna do? What's up, my dude? So now what? Kenny Boy Roczen got himself into a little bit of a pickle here, I would say. So we got some rumors coming out. Roczen maybe going to Cowie. He's already been on a YZ 252 smoker at the Straight Rhythm. That you had to have ESPN Plus to watch on the actual live show. But we're trying to grow the sport, But anyways, so Roczen definitely had all of his eggs in Honda's clutch basket, okay? Like, let's not even play and pretend right now, okay? For sure, no doubt about it, no question about it, right? That was supposed to be like a, Roczen, potentially Supercross champ, ride off into the sunset on the Honda. I feel like that really is what that was, and Honda was paying him all that money. He was supposed to be their next big guy, and that just didn't ever really happen for him. Obviously, with the crazy arm injury, that was the first big hit. He crashed real big at that I think it was Monster Cup on that Honda, you guys probably remember, but that was the first, okay, what's going on here? And then he has the big arm injury, and so then he's out, and he comes back, and he has that, re-injures the arm with Cooper Webb in that crash, and it's just, been one thing after another, and, yeah, it got to the point where obviously, we've got Chase Sexton, we've got Jet Lawrence coming up. Now they've signed Colt Nichols to that Honda team, but Roczen was supposed to race in the 2023 Supercross season. So I don't really know what all happened with that, but supposedly it was Roczen was the one that kind of pulled out of the contract or whatever, because the contract had the stipulation where he couldn't race in the World Supercross this year, which is obviously bullshit, right? But, so that's kind of the way it was said, where it was kind of like Roczen saying, okay, I'm just not even going to race in 2023 Supercross. I know some people thought that Roczen, since he raced the Honda at the World Supercross, they think that, he was going to go back to HRC Honda, he was just going to act like he was leaving so that it didn't mess up their little stipulation or whatever, but no. I do not think we are going to see Roczen back on that HRC Honda. Ever. Literally ever. So you've got Star Yamaha stacked up, 450 and 250 class. Monster Energy Cowie's got Jason Anderson, a Supercross champ. He was wicked-ass fast last year. He ain't going anywhere. Adam Cincerillo, at this point, if Cincerillo stays healthy, you would probably, and his age difference from Roczen, you would probably just go Cincerillo almost no matter what he does this year. I just feel like with Roczen, these past 2 or 3 years, boy, it is just crazy how it's everybody tries to compare Roczen after his injuries to the way he was before his injuries. He's not the same rider. He's had so many of those second-place finishes where Cooper Webb would just inch him out at the very end. Nobody can forget all that. Even though Roczen did win those 3 main events in a row, what was that, 2 years ago or something like that? Everybody thought he was going to win that Supercross championship. Then he demortally fell apart midways through. I think that was 2020, actually. I can't even remember at this point. But, he totally fell off that year once they went to that, Salt Lake City for all those rounds. Even though he was right there with Tomac in points midways through. He's had the majority of Roczen's championships at this point, I would say, indoors and out, after that gnarly arm injury, has been, somewhat normal Roczen for the first few rounds, and then kind of gets in a weird place, somewhere mid part of the season, and then just absolutely drops off after the mid part of the season into the end of the season. That's almost happened like clockwork for Roczen at this point. So it's almost hard to even believe one of these big factory teams would like try to pick him back up at this point. It's just hard for me to wrap my head around it. Like obviously Roczen was scrubbing it, reflex level pop scrubbing to the ground on the Red Bull straight rhythm on that YZ2 fatty. But like he looked awesome on straight rhythm. He looked good, but again, it's like that 17 round Supercross season though, bro. It's a monster, bro. These guys have a hard time like, and it's like if they don't really show true championship level potential after the amount of time that Roczen's had in the 450 class, I just don't think he's done enough for it to be like he still has that sort of power that he had right before he got signed to Honda. You know what I'm saying? It's not the same anymore. It's not, everybody's a little bit older. Roczen's done everything that he's done on that Honda. So I don't know, man. Maybe he can get some kind of like Twisted Tea Suzuki or something, take him back to the RCH days, right? But Roczen does have that outdoor title. Does he have 2 or 1? I can't remember. But anyways, doesn't have any Supercross 450 titles, right? But, and honestly, like, I don't ever remember Roczen ever, like, coming that close to winning the 450 Supercross championship. Like, I'm trying to remember a year where it was really like, oh, shit. Like, obviously, a lot of people keep thinking that at the start of these Supercross series where Roczen will go out and win Anaheim 1 or he'll go on a little streak at the beginning or whatever. But then by the end of by the 3/4 of the way through the championship, like, there's no way in hell Roczen's going to win the championship. So I have no idea what he's going to do next year. I don't know. All the teams are loaded up. Now, what is it? Craig and Stewart on Husky. Is that what it is? Roczen still got the Red Bull sponsorship. I don't know what's going to happen to that necessarily, but boy, this shit cutthroat. I can't say it enough, man. It is one of the most, if not the most cutthroat sports I've ever seen as far as how hard it is to keep a job or stay in it, It's just so tough, man, because there's such a big gap between the full-blown factory teams and then the B-tier level, teams. Even if, like, Roczen could be on a different team and wouldn't have to be paying for anything, still yet, though, that's what I'm saying. He's already past that point to such a degree in his career that once they're a full-blown factory dude, it's hard for them to not be that, and it's hard for them to function the same way when they're not in that environment and have those kind of people around them and the support and the race team and everything like that. It just, I don't know, man. Tough road for Roczen, but, he could have never been able to use his arm again or lost his arm or whatever. I mean, there's 101 different possibilities. So Roczen just needs to look at it like, he gave it a good run. He came back. He didn't just quit. He ain't no quitter. You know what I'm saying? You can't really say Roczen's a quitter. You can say, he falls off at the end of championships, but he ain't no quitter. So that's something to stand up for, you know what I'm saying? That's something to tip the hat for. So there's a lot of good things, like I'm saying, with Roczen's career, even though this video seems like a negative Nelly ass, terrible way, glass doesn't even have a drop in it kind of way of looking at it. But really though, again, it goes back to that. Not everybody's going to have that perfect Ricky Carmichael style career championships wise. James Stewart, I'm sure he wanted way more championships. I'm sure he expected to have way more championships than he ended up with. He only has 2 big bike class Supercross championships. Reed only has 2 Supercross championships, right? So there's a lot of them that I feel like he expected to do more. It's just Roczen's bar is a little bit lower than that, to the point to where instead of Roczen having 1 or 2 Supercross championships. He's just right under that point where he was never going to be able to quite get one. Maybe if he didn't have those injuries, maybe. But I still don't even know if that's the case. I don't know. I'm sure it affects him, but everybody's had injuries. Tomac tore both the shoulders out. Adam Cincerillo, I mean, let's not even get into that, you know what I'm saying? But it's like everybody's going through shit, So, I don't know. But at the end of the day, yeah, it seems as if Roczen's going to be tough for him to come back. I'd like to see him come back in some kind of a way, but definitely let me know down in the comments what you guys think, and I'll see you boys on that next one. Later, dudes.